特別措置法第32条に基づき、緊急事態宣言を発出することといたします。
Tuesday was greeted with skepticism in U.S. and British media. Various outlets questioned the timing and potential effectiveness of Japan's state of emergency.
関西の大阪府と兵庫県、そして九州の福岡県であります。
Hi, my name is Daniel, and again, you're watching Hiking and Survival in Japan. Welcome to day 2 of our non-mandatory cocooning, I think is a lovely word that my mother is using back in Ireland. And as the Japanese government is making great pains to say that this is not a lockdown because they don't actually have the powers to actually lock anywhere down.
British newspaper The Guardian noted the Japanese government does not have the legal authority to enforce a France-style lockdown with fines and other penalties.
Okay, and as today, unlike yesterday, there's one kid on his own over there playing. This will be cycling by. A bit more traffic on the roads, but as regards to people out in the park, no. I don't hear the amount of kids that I did yesterday at the same time. So this is about 9:20 a.m. in the morning. I'm trying to do these videos around the same time every day. That way you can see what's going on as a general guide for that time every day. Okay. There we go, we can hear some kids there now. Yeah, there's still some kids going around, but not as in the large numbers as there was yesterday. There's still the odd person walking their dog. Some strange things have been happening. Okay, as you've seen, Abe had decided to do emergency measures from last Tuesday, which was the day before yesterday. Today's Thursday, okay, the 9th of April 2020. And I think Japanese people are slowly realizing what's going on and what they need to do. Because, yeah, it's a strange moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some questions that are being put out there and try to sort out some of those things, because Japan is not like the rest of the world. We're doing things very differently here, and for non-Japanese people you find it very difficult to understand what's going on. So I'll try to answer those questions. As I'm speaking, yeah, groups of kids are now slowly going into the park. So there we go. Now there's some more kids over here with his ball. This guy over here running. He's going to meet up with him. And the reason for this is because Japanese people are still under the idea that once you're outdoors, you're not going to catch this, that the wind is going to blow it away, and that it's safe to be in numbers outside. Well, small numbers, not big numbers. And so getting on to answer some of these questions, okay, and what's going on. Sorry if I'm looking all over the place, so things keep catching my eye. I'll try to talk to a camera. As you've noticed, these videos are going to be very uncut and more blogging than I normally do. I think that's going to be an easy way of doing this for everybody and more enjoyable for you guys as well. I'll try not to ramble as I normally do. Okay, to answer some of the questions. Yes, Japanese government does not have the powers to do a complete lockdown like they have done in other countries. What they have done is give wider powers to the local city governments. Now you've got to remember, Japan was designed by the American forces when they pulled out at the end of the war, and what they did was cripple Japan as a country to make sure that they never went to war again. Now that's coming back to bite everyone in the ass, because now the Japanese government has no power over its people. Okay, And what normally happens is that each prefecture, which is your idea of state or county, has its own smaller government, and then inside those different prefectures have the different wards, which have their own offices as well. So each prefecture is a little government on their own, and they don't have to really listen to what the central government tells them. They can actually fight anything the central government says, and in a long process it can go to court and everything else. We've seen this in Okinawa, when the Okinawan government decided that they didn't want to have the new airbase, and they actually went to court with the main Japanese government over it, saying that they didn't have the powers to tell them what to do in their own prefecture. Okay, so because of all this, the government doesn't have any powers to keep people at home. They can just do an advisory. What they are doing, though, is they're saying about naming and shaming.
It said Japanese officials are instead hoping that self-restraint and threats to name and shame businesses that refuse to close will ensure compliance.
Which means then that any companies that don't abide by this advisory and goes out of their way to put their employees in danger and to keep spreading this disease, that they're going to be called out, which then could give them more problems in the future. Okay, and then as the usual thing here in Japan, nobody wants to lose face. Face and honor is the most important thing in anything that ever happens here. So they're hoping that that's what's gonna keep everything going. Okay, but for the general Japanese person, they really still haven't figured out how dangerous this disease is. And the reason is this. I talked about the other day on my last video how Japan thinks of itself as an island nation and so has an island mentality. But because of this, a bit like in the States and other big countries, they don't actually follow what's going on outside in the rest of the world. It's not that they're not given the information's there, but usually Japanese people live in their own little bubble, go around their own little days doing what they want to do and not paying attention to other people or what's going on in the world. And that keeps them happy, keeps them isolated, and it keeps them from being harmed emotionally from things. And because of this now, it's really hard for them to actually get to grips with what's actually going on and how dangerous this is. As look, nothing like this has ever happened for a good 1,000 years. Well, the last time something happened was the Spanish flu. It was back at the turn of the century. And so for them, it's totally science fiction and out of the norm, which it's not. People are dying, people are getting sick. What they have done is they have kind of asked very nicely that big department stores close down. Again, the local prefectures don't have the powers to close places down or order places to close. So like schools, cinemas, nightclubs, bars, big department stores, swimming pools, gyms, they have no powers to close them down or order them to close for the 1 month. That would really protect us. Instead, they can just give an advisory, and again, as I said, give the option of naming and shaming at the end of it all to say that you didn't do your part, which doesn't help us really at the end of the day, because if all shit goes to the fan, we're fucked, basically, if people don't do as they're asked to do. And as we all know, human nature usually is you get two camps in that part. One of people who will do as they're asked because they can see the bright side, and then you'll have the rebellious people who will just say, fuck off, I'm doing what I want to do, I don't give a shit about you, I just care about me. And that's where the problem lies. Where is this all going to head to? Where is it all going to go? I don't know. Only time will tell, and history will sort out the victors in the end. And let's hope we all get through this. Today I have to venture out to do some emergency shopping for supplies for the family. My kids wanted to come with me. I've told them no, they can't. They have to stay here, and I'll venture out to get what we need and then come back. As I said, we are trying to do the best that we can ourselves here in my household. Other families dealing with it the best way they can. You know, some families, their parents still have to work because their companies are still asking them to come in, and which means that they have nowhere to put their kids, and that's where you see kids like outside at the moment who are just left to fend for themselves because there is nowhere for them to go. The nursery care workers are still working. Kindergartens are closed. The daycare centres are open. Now, they have been advised to tell people who are not essential workers, such as doctors, nurses, bus drivers, trains drivers, delivery people, which are also most important, and grocery shop workers. They can still bring their kids. If you're just an office worker or something like that, no, stay at home, look after your kids. Okay, so they're advising as many people as they can to please look after your own kids. Now, the other problem is, as a friend of mine who also works in the same type of industry as I do, has said these people have never looked after their own kids before because they're so used to just dumping them on daycare centres and places like that. They don't know what to do with them. And so, as my friend was saying, you can look after your own screaming kid for a while, see how you like it. But the problem is they're probably just doing what the kids like here. They just go outside and play. I don't want you in the house. But that's it. There you go. Right, okay, that's the end of my little blog for today. I don't have much more to say. The Japanese government did get on again last night to ask people again to please stay indoors and to self-isolate as much as possible and distance yourself from others. Abe is really hoping that this can be done at least between 70 and 80% to curb this into 1 month. Actually, sorry, I wanted to talk about the news reports and how Europe is suddenly reacting to Japan and what they're saying.
The New York Times said that for months, Japan has confounded the world by reporting a relatively low rate of coronavirus infections without imposing the kind of stringent measures used by other nations. It noted that medical experts are wondering whether the declaration has come just in time to avoid calamity or is too little too late.
And yeah, what can I say? I've been saying for my last few videos that Japan isn't stepping up to the plate quick enough. Now that they have, it's not done 100%. There's reasons behind that we just talked about. Will it work? Is it too late? I don't know. All we can do is put on a brave face, hope for the best, and see what comes out the other side. Whatever happens, this is going to end at some point. What the death toll is going to be, what the damage is going to be, what the economy is going to be like in the whole world. Nobody knows. It's going to be enormous, whatever happens. History and time will tell if what's going on at the moment in Japan has been quick enough, fast enough, good enough. As I said, only time will tell.
Other U.S. media noted that experts have warned that the failure to respond quickly could result in a far worse situation, with one Japanese doctor quoted as saying that we might see the next New York City in...
Let's hope for the best. Let's all do our part. Okay. There's still great debate going on about wearing masks. I did watch a video by some American surgeon for CNN or someone like that in the States, and she sat there going on about how masks are useless and giving her medical advice about why doctors wear masks and why it doesn't help the general public to wear masks. And I was shocked. I hope I never meet this woman. I hope she never has to do surgery on me, because I think her medical titles have gone to her head and blocked her brains from actually working. There is a lovely video which I'll put at the end of this one, done by I think it's the New York Fire Department, but it's one of the fire departments in the States, who did a great video of why you need to wear a mask. Okay. The so-called medical professions, and I'm going to say so-called because really they have no idea what's going on, because nobody has faced a pandemic like this in our lifetime, and so they have no knowledge either. Okay, but they're saying like the coronavirus is so small that it will go through masks. If that's the case, why are the doctors wearing masks? Now she's saying it to stop them from infecting patients, but then the people who are looking after those poor sick people in the hospitals are not trying to protect the patients, they're trying to protect themselves. So it's contradictory, everything she says. Also, this virus, how does it spread out through your mouth? It has to travel on something, and it travels on water droplets, okay, which are in our mouths. That's what it attacks to. It attacks it to our saliva. As we sneeze, either from our nose or mouth, it travels that way. And water droplets are a certain size. And masks catch the water droplets, which the coronavirus is inside. It doesn't take a medical genius to work this out. Okay. Please watch the video at the very end. It explains everything. And try to wear some type of mask, doesn't matter what it is. Okay. Remember, wash your hands. Take care of your family. Look after yourselves. If you're sick, you can't look after your family. Okay. And let's try to get out of this all together as best we can, and see you all on the other side. Okay. Until then, be prepared.
Hey everybody, this is Paul with Cy-Fair Fire Department. Today we're going to be looking at various ways that contaminants can come from a cough. We're now going to turn off the lights so the black light can take effect and do our simulation. And you notice it hangs in the air, and that is very common with all of these pathogens. Okay, so now let's take a look at our current CDC guideline of wearing a surgical mask to prevent any particles from getting out and into the air. So as we saw, there were some particles that escaped. That's to be expected with any mask that isn't completely form-fitting to your face. Now, that doesn't mean that we didn't capture the vast majority of the expirated particles. So, if we take a look on the inside of the mask, it's very clear that we did catch the vast majority.